You're very welcome to the Firm and Fast Golf Podcast. I'm your host, Shane Darby. In this episode, we are back with an interview with an industry expert, namely James Bledge, the current superintendent at the Royal Liverpool Golf Club at Hoylake, and half of the Golf Badgers podcast, which he ably co-hosts with his friend, the golf course designer Sam Cooper. Bledge is a native of the Royal Burgh of Dumfries, located in the Scottish borders. His travels in turf started at his local Dumfries and Galloway Golf Club, continuing through numerous high-profile postings in Scotland, which were counterpointed with 2 wee interludes to Norway and Sweden. For the 9 years preceding his move to Hoylake in 2022, James called the majestic links at Deal his home base. Over the course of our chat, we take a look at some of the cool places Bledge has worked. We linger upon the specific challenges that sites and weather can throw at greenkeeping teams. We cover some teaching, learning and podcasting with his golf badger mate Sam Cooper. We take a look at how championship hosting clubs interact with the R&A's championship and agronomy departments. And finally, we take a look at harnessing technology to monitor sports turf performance and create efficiencies in its presentation. Many thanks to you for tuning in. I thoroughly enjoyed catching up with James. We hope you enjoy our chat. James Bledge, you're very welcome to the Firm and Fast Golf Podcast. How are you?
Great, Shane. Thank you very much for inviting me on. It's been a while, but we've got there in the end.
We did. You're live from the greenkeeping shed in Royal Liverpool.
Yes, it doubles up as my house, actually. So I've got the shortest commute, I think, in greenkeeping, which is 1 step out and 1 step to the right, straight in my office. And what you see behind me is my job board that I use with magnets and whiteboard markers. It's kind of like a intense football manager's office kind of thing. So
you're keeping all the boys busy.
Yeah, yes. We've got a big team, good team of 12. So the biggest part of my job is making sure everyone's kept going, and planning is my biggest thing. So I'm an obsessive, compulsive planner. So yeah.
Well, listen, we will get on to the site at Hoylake in a little while, but I understand you've been a busy boy of late. A spot of foursomes at Blackwell with Sam Cooper, some after-dinner speaking for the members at Royal Cinque Port in London, and a wild weekend with Joe McDonnell, playing fancy dress midnight golf under arc lights, no less. Tell us a bit about that.
Oh, God, it was I think when you kind of get to this position at an amazing golf club like this, you get loads of great opportunities, and I try not to say no to anything. It's my kind of motto in life. I try and take on as much as I can without being selfish to my family or whatever. Do it realistically. I can't obviously say yes to everything, but these 3 things all came up in the same week, and I was actually quite anxious about doing so much in a week. But the first thing was I was asked to be the guest speaker at the Royal Cinque Ports Golf Club London dinner at the Cutlers Hall in London, which is an amazing old livery. The room was 180 people there. There was dames and lords and ladies and all sorts, and it was the most amazing venue. And I was sick nervous doing that. You do a lot of public speaking, but to speak without any aids, i.e., no audio or visual, just like a best man speech off a cue card. God, it was intense, and I spoke for half an hour, black tie dinner. And the funny thing was, during this time, it kept on getting longer and longer because I was the last person on, and they're like, right, we're going to have another song. We're going to bring out Coldplay's Harp Player, and she's going to play a Welsh song for us. And I'm just, oh, come on, I just need to get up and get speaking, because I was like, my butterflies were bad. So that was what a great honour to do that. And it was amazing to be asked. And basically just spoke about my career, spoke about Royal Liverpool, the Open and Royal Cinque Ports, and a lot of the members and stuff. And then straight after that, literally the morning after, I had to be in Blackwell in Birmingham for 7:30 in the morning. So to play in the scratch foursomes. So Sam Cooper, who I do the podcast with, the Badger I call him, was my partner. Sam's a quality golfer, really is. And it's the Blackwell foursomes is an amazing event. It's some of the kind of top clubs in the country come and play it, and you have like the Moles, the kind of societies, the Royal St George's, etc. And Portmarnock were there this year, representing your neck of the woods. Quality golfers, of which I'm not, but I'm a decent drinker, so I didn't let the side down with that. And I think it's 50% of the Blackwell foursomes is being able to drink and play golf at the same time, because it's quite heavy.
I believe that's a learned skill.
Yes, I'm half decent at it.
I do remember speaking to a member at North Berwick who plays occasionally. He's former Oxford Blue, and he was regaling me with a story of a match they played against the Scottish universities, I think. And invariably, when they play it, the students will be up at lunch. They go in, get themselves changed, have lunch, get a few drinks down their neck, and they can't play in the afternoon. So it's just a matter of time before the lads finish them off in the afternoon.
I know. Well, that is super heavy. That's a super wet lunch. But they've got a nice kind of saying at Blackwell is we love a drink. We don't do drunk, and that's kind of true. You know, because you pace yourself. I mean, you're drinking all day, but still want to go out and play the afternoon foursomes game. You know, but I mean, it's quite hard after a couple of bottles of wine at lunch. But it's brilliant. And the speeches at night are great, and those guys get up and sing and tell jokes. And yeah, that was brilliant. The guy that beat us in the third game, it was a Royal St George's member. He had a hole in one on the 9th, so that was pretty amazing.
Wow!
And then straight from there, as you say, Joe McDonnell came down, picked me up. Joe, for anyone who's listening, is part of Sam's new company, McDonnell and Cooper Architects Company, and Joe does all the visuals for that. He's a very, very clever guy. Especially on computer visuals and graphics for designing golf courses. So we've got a lot in common. He was on our podcast last week. And then we went down to RNGC, which stands for Royal Norton Golf Club, which is a bit of a mick take because it's not really royal, but it's our friend Dan Davies' back garden, which is an apple orchard, which he's carved 9 holes out of. Shortest hole 40 yards, maybe longest hole 65 yards, and basically, if you miss the green, it's straight into a 3-foot high boond, as he calls it. And there's coffin greens that are the size of a coffin. There's greens on 45-degree slopes. He cuts them all down to 10 mil. And the deal is you have to be fancy dressed, and you have beer caddies, and you've got spotters, so you can find a ball in a really long rough, but you can cultivate your lie so you can see it and hack out. And I think one of the coolest things for me there was one of Dan's friends is Simon Farnaby, and I didn't want to fangirl too much over him, but Simon Farnaby, for anyone that hasn't heard the name, is one of my favourite actors. He was in The Mighty Bush. He's in Alan Partridge's This Time. It's the talk show that he does. The kids love him because he's in Horrible Histories and he's in the new Wonka film and stuff. So he's in Paddington as well. I think he was the Queen's servant in Paddington or something. So he's brilliant, and we beat them in the last 16, which was really fun. And I was the theme was music videos. So I was a Norwegian black metal guitarist.
And Joe had his dungarees on.
Yeah, he was Dexy's Midnight Runners. But there was Katy Perry, there was Susan Boyle was my absolute favourite. But if anyone's on Instagram that wants to go and look RNGC, Royal Norton Golf Club, you'll see exactly what they're up to. And Dan does some brilliant media on it. He's a fantastic golf journalist, Dan. So a lot of people that were there are all in the golf industry as well, which is really nice. And most of the people there were his member friends from Royal North Devon. So the single best golfing experience I've had. And I've played all the top golf courses around in Britain. Very, very lucky. But to play something like that is so fun and no one's taking it serious. It just took me back to my childhood when we carved 9 holes out of the playing fields at Cargan Bridge School, where the course manager from Southern Est, Neil Hamilton, that's where me and him grew up playing our golf. We used to mow the greens out, and I could tell you the routing now, still to this day. And we even had a bunker on it, which was the old sand pit that was kind of reused. So the architect, Robert McDowell, who was 2 years above us at school, and we have a joke about that still. So it brought all flooding back for me, and I just absolutely had the time of my life. And it was a heavy weekend, and then from Wednesday night at the Royal Cinque Ports dinner all the way through to that, I still try to get over it 2 weeks later, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, listen, you mentioned the Badgers podcast, and until very recently, we were suffering from a distinct lack of new episodes. That has been rectified of late. As you said, you had Joe McDonald on with yourself and Sam Cooper, your fellow Badger. And I believe you have some exciting news that you've become part of an ever-expanding cookie jar podcast empire.
Yes.
Just wondering how have you enjoyed podcasting with Sam thus far as the first question?
I love Sam. It's kind of like yin and yang to a degree. We learn a lot off each other. We don't always agree, which is a good thing. We're very, very different as people. Sam's very, very well spoken and eloquent and very clever, whereas I'm the polar opposite. He's learned a lot about, and I think this is what I respect most about Sam, actually, is the fact that he's willing to learn about greenkeeping because he feels that it will help his architecture. And that's super. I mean, it's something that Martin Ebert, when we work with Martin Ebert, he works hard on that as well. He gets our side of it, and I think all good architects do. So he's been super doing the podcast with, and he's just had a baby, so we kind of went quiet for a while, just letting him deal with that and starting his new company. But we're very good friends with the Cookie Jar Boys, and it was kind of mentioned at the start when we kicked it off that we'd like to kind of come on board with them. But now that it's actually, they see that the podcast is doing pretty well, that they said, well, we'll tell you what, we'll help you get the podcast out there. We'll help you with some better equipment, because we were just doing it just with a very basic computer microphone setup. And then they've been doing the social media for us as well. So it's really picked up a hell of a notches, and we've got some exciting guests coming on, and I'm looking forward to the future of it. Actually, it's something we really enjoy doing. We don't take a penny from it. It's all completely for the love of the game and for the kind of love of helping other greenkeepers out. And there's not many podcasts out there, greenkeeping podcasts. So I love the Joe Galotti's one in America that was superb, the Talking Greenkeeper. But like there was the odd ones starting to kind of get up and going in Britain, but not many that are completely focused on greenkeeping. And mixed with architecture as well. So it's an industry podcast, which is good.
Well, keep up the great work. I missed it while it was away, and I was delighted to see it back last week. So
we've got a couple of really exciting episodes we're working on just now.
Good. Well, best of luck. Listen, for the benefit of listeners who, for some reason, may not be acquainted with your career trajectory to date, we might just run through a couple of highlights very briefly. You were an early starter at 16 at your local course at Dumfries and Galloway. Greenkeeping adventures then followed through Norway and Sweden, back to Scotland, working at Gullen, Kingsbarns, and the very mysterious G West golf course in the Highlands. Am I right in saying G West remains unopened to this day?
Yes, it's still being cut. I think it's gone from we had 18 staff there at one point when we were building it to, it could be about 4 or 5 now, Josh. They just keep it cut. As far as I know, they're not willing to open it until the housing market picks up, until the business model that they originally sought after is maintainable or sustainable again. So, they've been hit by recessions, COVIDs, wars. So it's just I'm not a businessman, but it's a crying shame that golf course isn't open. And David McClay the design is off the scale. It's beautiful. I'd love to see it up and running one day. I really would. You can see when you look over from the Gun Eagles, Kings and Queens, and get a quick glance at the massive clubhouse. It's kind of gone to rack and ruin.
We can but hope. Listen, somewhere along the way, you came to the conclusion that the curation of links courses was your vocation. Do you remember any specific moment that realisation hit you?
I adored working at Kingsbarns. I adored the team. My boss was great, Ennis Knight, fantastic guy, and I just love being beside the sea. I loved the links turf. It's such a joy to work in turf that's not bubbling up underneath your feet in the winter. I feel for Parkland guys. I'm one of the lucky ones. The Parkland guys every autumn have the onset of picking up leaves, and I've been that 8 years at Dumfries and Galloway Golf Club picking up leaves, working against drainage, disease, poor airflow. It's difficult being a Parkland greenkeeper. It really is. And it's just really nice to work in a links golf course where the ground under your feet's firm and fast and dry. Links golf courses have the kind of golf that I enjoy being played on them. Kind of championships, open championships, Dunhills, etc. And that was it really. I kind of fell in love with it that way, and I always wanted to stay in links golf after that.
As a rule, I try not to engage with guests too much talking about courses I haven't visited. But as you know, the stars aligned for me back last year in 2024. Very fortunate to visit and play two of your most recent postings, namely the majestic Royal Cinqueport, where I think you spent 9 years, and finally a kind member at Royal Liverpool took pity on me last June and took me for a spin around Hoylake. Obviously, you've been based at Royal Liverpool as course manager since 2022. You might permit me initially to first linger on the Kent coast for starters. Deal may not look like much from the road as you pass by the imposing clubhouse replete with a humongous flagpole. However, appearances can be deceptive. As someone who knows Deal intimately through a 9-year association, how would you describe the property to the uninitiated?
You're totally right when you say it doesn't look like anything as you're driving up the ancient highway, but I mean, it's quite astounding that as you're driving from Sandwich to Deal, you look on your right side, you've got perfectly pancake flat farmers' fields, and then your left, you've got the sea. So how can there be a golf course of any reckoning in between? But it's got the most outrageous land, undulating fairways, roller coaster-esque fairways, some of the best green complexes in the world. Martin Ebert brought all the Hirono crew out when he was redesigning Hirono, and I always remember 6 Japanese guys that couldn't speak a word English, but it was my job with Martin to let them see the best greens complexes in the world. And Martin used to always say, these are the best greens complexes anywhere I've been in the world. And it's true. And he would always say that the 17th would be the best in the world if it wasn't for the 16th, but I could name you every other one that's amazing. And we did a lot of work at that golf course, opening up the flows and creating more of a flow from green to tee. I mean, it had horrible shale paths, and it was just in quite a bad state of disrepair, really. And now, you look what Ben Williams, my old deputy, has gone on to do after me. He's just simply amazing. Best young greenkeeper, one of the best young greenkeepers in Britain. Absolutely fantastic every time you go there, and better and better. And it was played on the Amateur Championship this weekend alongside Royal St George's. So courses of equal ilk, and brilliant, great fun. And on top of it all, what a club. Members are just off the scale. I'm the friendliest club about. So big fan of that place, and it always go on about it a lot, probably too much at times because people get annoyed. But I always have my heart at that place.
No, it was a pure highlight of a trip last year that included Royal St George's, which is great in its own right too. But we passed by Cinqueport on the way to a few different places, and as I said, you'd be looking out over what looks like a pretty nondescript vista. It's anything but. It's a special place, and I'm glad you mentioned the members. They're off the scale in terms of the welcome, and what a place to have a nice lazy lunch afterwards.
Yes, no, they're very good at that as well, and they do bar diving. They don't take themselves too seriously. Very respectful membership. I mean, I know Ben loves working for them down there, and they've also got the most amazing secretary in James Lear as well, who's a really great friend of mine. So I miss the place a lot.
You get back down much?
Once a year, possibly twice. I said I would go back down for Andrew Reynolds' inauguration, the pro that's going to be made captain in October. And the lady captain, Gemma, is one of my good friends as well. She's my doubles partner, so they're going to be captain and lady captain together. So I'm going to try and get down for that.
That's Andrew that does a bit of tinkering with hickory clubs, I believe.
Yes, yeah, I've actually a nice story about Andrew once. So we were having like a members' day, and Andrew was set up on the eighth tee with a load of hickory clubs, and it was beat the pro. And I was just driving in from changing holes and course setup, and I just nipped in between groups, and he was, "Oh, Bledge, what's happening?" I says, "Oh, well, give me a shot at one of these things. I've never hit a hickory." And he was like, "Well," he says, "Ren says, I'll hit one first. What do you want me to do?" I says, "Well, take that one." It was a brassy or a mashy niblick or something like that. He says, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Just hit it in the hole." And he just stood up, and it was 154 yards or something like that. And he just stood up, one swipe, straight in the hole, hole in one. What's the like it in my life? Absolute honest to God's truth. He's some man. I think he's had a two at every single hole at Deal. That's the story about him. 40 odd years as pro there. He's some man. He is. I've heard all his stories about 20 times over, but I love him. He's great.
You know, it was just back to Deal for a second. It strikes me that certain areas in the course appear to be pretty low-lying. Is that the case, or were my eyes deceiving me?
Yeah, the water table issues at Deal, same as we do have here. The two kind of most important things being a greenkeeper is getting water on and getting water off, and it was certainly was really apparent at Deal. We spent old Mark, who'd been with us for 40 odd years, I think about 45, 46 years now at least, in fact, maybe even a lot more, but he spends all winter pumping water off little line areas, and he spends all summer out at 3 a.m. hand water and goes fishing in the afternoon. So the amount of fuel used to go through pumping the water off, but it just comes up. And if it wasn't for that seawall, the course would be unplayable. So the team do a great job in keeping that going. But yeah, it's true. And like low line age, you can see on 18 a bit lusher. One can be a bit like that as well, and some of the greens. But it's I think it's quite common. A lot of links golf courses we do have that. Well, Liverpool certainly does. We've had winters here where every single bunker's flooded for months on end, and you've no point in pumping them out because the water just comes straight back up. And the only way you can do it is just to drain the water table. So very costly. Lytham St Anne's done a great job of starting doing that just now. So big engineering works. Yeah.
What's involved in engineering a system to do that? Is a lot of subterranean work and pump stations, etc., etc.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, actually getting rid of the water out of the water table so you can put the pipes in to start off with is the biggest problem. You know, if you were to dig a hole down to pipe depth of say 400 mil, for example, it would fill straight back up with water, and the channels would collapse. So they have a technique called dewatering, where you pump the water out of the ground. It's almost like kind of like, if you can imagine a syringe sucking it out, you know, and getting pumped away. So you basically drain the water table away mechanically, and then put the drains in. And when the water starts to rise naturally again within the next hour, it goes into the pipes and goes away. So it's a very clever technique. And yeah, as I say, Lytham's fortunes have been changed. We've got another brilliant course manager there, Paul. He's superb, and with his vision and a bit of the money, making it a 12-month-a-year golf course. And that's my kind of dream for Hoylake. And I really feel that that's got to be the next step. We're kind of getting everything else in the right place, but this is the big thing now. Is for me, I'd love to have every bunker dry in the next, 5-10 years. It'd be kind of the next big thing.
Sounds like an expensive endeavour.
Yep. Very expensive. Hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope Santa Claus comes early for you with that,
yeah,
with that regard.
I think we need a lot more than that.
I was just looking at the history of Singapore before I came online with you today, and it's practically dripping with history. Obviously added to the Open Road in 1908, hosting the event both in 1909 and 1920, when John Henry Taylor and George Duncan emerged as winners. Indeed, I understand the deal is still used for final Open Championship qualifying purposes, and as you rightly pointed out, it has just co-hosted the Amateur Champ, preliminary qualifying, and the first 2 days of stroke play qualifying. Historically, weather and war contrived against Deal, those twin imposters preventing the club from hosting 4 Open Championships. War intervened in 1915 and 1942, with flooding and tidal inundation putting pay to hosting both the championships of 1938 and 1949. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. But honestly, I cannot wait to get back down there. Just wondering what your favourite spot on the course is.
Oh God, yeah, the fourth tee. I love the fourth tee. I had a hole in one in that hole, and it was my favourite bit in the morning setup, just to sit up there and just kind of have a look out over the channel. Watch the sun come up. I mean, Christ, what a lucky person to see that every morning. And then also, from the 4th to the 17th is probably one of the best holes in Britain. It's not a golf hole as well. So I said to Jen, my wife, that I wanted some of my ashes scattered on that tee. And I always joke because Reynolds, the ex-old pro, had said that he wanted his put on the 5th tee. So we're 170 odd yards away from each other. So that's fine. Far enough away.
Listen, after deal, you moved to Hoylake and you've been the custodian of the links there since January 2022, I believe. I understand that there was a degree of serendipity involved in you getting the job.
How do you mean by serendipity?
The right place at the right time, my friend. The right place at the right time.
Right, okay. See, this is what I mean. Sam Cooper would have got that straight away. He would have understood the context of that, no problem. Sean from Prince's at the time is now Birkdale, and I used to have a little autumn study trip, going looking at other golf courses. And the last 2 years, I mean, the year before that, we did Norfolk and did Brancaster, etc., and Royal West Norfolk. And this year we're like, come on, let's go up and do like the the Northwest. Sorry, we've never been up there. I'd never played Birkdale or Hoylake or anywhere, so I'd text Craig Gillum, who was the course manager here at the time, the links manager, sorry, and said, Craig, Sean and I are going to come up for a game, could you sort us out? And he was like, yeah, no problem. He says, but you better get your CV ready because I'm leaving at Christmas. And then when the second he told me that, I knew that was the job that I had to go for. You know, I love deal and stuff, but you don't get many chances for these open golf courses. And looking at the other guys that were ready to retire, you would have had Chris at Birkdale, and then Billy at Troon, maybe another, I don't know, 5+ years past that, possibly. Billy's kind of getting almost of that age now. But like, you don't want to put your eggs all in one basket. And I thought, well, this would be perfect for getting closer to home. Being 20 minutes away in the train from an amazing city. Let's go for it. Let's have a shot at it. So I went up and had a look at the course, and Sean and I came up, and he went out and played golf, and I went and met the greens chairman and walked 18 holes, and I was pretty impressed by it, especially turf conditions. Craig kept a great golf course, and he did some great rescue work in the greens, and it really, I'm sure Craig would say as well, there was a lifetime's worth of work here like there is at Deal. You know, you couldn't ever get bored. There's so many things you could still do. And I thought, well, I could do something with this place. And it kind of got me fired up and thinking. And with the Open, which probably put a lot of people off because it was so close, just round the corner, I thought, well, do you know what? I'm kind of an age where I could probably do it. And the kids are a good age to leave. At that time, they were like 5 and 8 or something like that. So yeah, we went for it, and then the rest is history. I think had a lot of things in my favour as well. I mean, Ali Beggs was the agronomist here, and he's the member here, and I've worked with Ali for years, so we knew each other well and had a really good working relationship. So it was a perfect fit, really. And I don't know if you know Ali, but he's like one of my favourite people, and we still play golf together. And me and him worked together at the Open. We walked the fairways together, and I've got loads of respect for the guy and take loads of advice off him. So it just was a nice fit for everyone, and yeah, so it's worked out well.
Well, the one thing that struck me visiting last year, the level of detail that you guys present on a daily basis is off the charts. So well done. Don't know how you manage it with 12, but it was almost open ready just on a random Tuesday.
Yeah, well, we try and that's our thing here. It's what we try and create. When you've got visitors paying what they pay, and members, you've got to, like, people are coming here for bucket list excursions. And if I was doing a bucket list when I turned up at a golf course to play Cypress Point or whatever, and it was absolutely in rotten condition, and there's a greenkeeper following you all the way around, you'd be really, really annoyed with that, you know. So I want people to come here and then have the best experience they can, and go and tell their friends, and then they come here, because that way I get kept in a job. You see, you know, I want this place to still keep in fact, I want it to make more money, because then we can get better machines and we can do more with the golf course. We can put on all this drainage. You know, why would you not want the club to be as successful, to grow it as much as possible? But it's you say you don't know how we do it, but it's actually not as hard as you think. It's like, it's all down to just putting actually really easy things in place and the detail. And I mean, we all work our backsides off, but it's what you see behind you. It's having that super meticulous planning that happens behind the scenes that makes it easy for my guys to do the job. I mean, I don't go out and rake bunkers every morning and weed paths and stuff like that. You know, my job is entirely making sure the team are happy and everything's ticking along well, and that the budget is on point, and that the agronomy is on point. We know exactly when we're going to be applying our applications, to how the grass is growing, constant data testing. We've got the new USGA GS3 equipment for moisture and speed, roll and smoothness and trueness. So we're completely on top of everything, and talking to my management team, the irrigation tech, so we know exactly how much evapotranspiration there is, so we know how much to put back in, and everyone's got their own kind of skill set here. So we're all in charge of our own little bits. Even though I'm really into job rotation, I want everyone to do everything. We have my deputy Paul, for example, great snag list maker, great supervisor, brilliant at keeping the boys going. But he's in charge of like all the village. We've got to see the village people there, but the village membership. So that's the artisans, and they do our dividend work, for example. So it's really, really well run in that respect, and we all take a part of it. Like it feels like sometimes there's more than one course manager or links manager, to be honest with you. There's quite a few of us that kind of take on the responsibility, and it works well.
Now, I had Chris Breen, the superintendent at Rossapena, on the pod recently, slap bang in the middle of the dry spring that we've had in these parts. Indeed, I was over in the Netherlands last month, and it appears to have been the same there too. And obviously here in Dublin on the east coast of Ireland as well. Just wondering what specific challenges do dry springs coupled with northerly and easterly winds pose in relation to the site at Hoylake?
Hoylake, well renowned for having super hydrophobic soils and sands. You know, we spend a lot of money on wetting agents. We do a lot of watering, and to a point there at the end of May, I'd used over half of my allowance, which is quite worrying. But I don't get worried by it, because I really know that Mother Nature always kind of gives you back. You know, she's going to have you a dry spell, she'll sure as hell give you a wet spell. And that has happened. You know, we've been 3 weeks now and hardly maybe put 1,000 cubic meters of water on, and the 6 weeks before that would have put on 15,000. So it's that's the kind of hardest thing. And when you talk about winds, and when you are watering fairways and it's windy, the water's going all over the shop, you know, and you really and the depths of root zones we have varies, so you get drying out at different speeds, and the course doesn't look great. I mean, we only cancelled a media shoot a month ago just because I wasn't really happy about the way the course looked from the drone. It's fine when you're down golf view, it just looks like a links course, you know, it looks like it's drying out, but then when you put the drone up, it just doesn't look great. So we've had about 50 mil of rain, and because we invest in wetting agents, the soil's re-wet beautifully, and the plant, the seed bed's hundreds of years old, so the grass comes back really well, and we use great drought tolerant grasses such as sheep's fescue and hard tops, and these cultivars are really well suited to the site, so we get a great bounce back. So I mean, the course looks stunning now. We had a great photo shoot the other day, and hopefully everyone will start to see the photos come out on our social media, on our Instagram page, of like actually what the course looks like, and it's a kind of fairer representation. I love links courses when they dry out, yeah, but every links manager will tell you, you can get quite twitchy when it gets too dry, because you do worry, is that going to come back? or if it comes back really blotchy, or it comes back and it fills in a little bit with ryegrass or grasses you don't really want. So yeah, that is the biggest challenge. I wish I had infinite water that I didn't have to worry about. But yeah, I actually enjoyed the fact that it was, and I'm contradicting myself a lot here, I actually enjoyed the fact it's dry because it rains a lot at times. And it's just quite nice to have a break from it, to be honest, and
I can imagine.
see the boys kicking about in shorts.
In your experience, how different can league sites be in terms of favourability for growing grass? And generally speaking, what would those differences be?
Yeah, as I say, like I was saying earlier, down to kind of water on and water off, and drainage. It's a lot easier to grow grass in soil that you can control the moisture of, as opposed to saturated soils. And also the fact that we don't have any trees around here really at all, so no shade problems, no zapping up of the moisture at the ground with the roots, and no really any airflow problems. Just some houses round about. It's kind of probably the only thing. That'll be the biggest. That'll be the biggest issues. As I said before, I feel sorry for Parkland boys when it comes to that. It's very tough. It's beautiful. I mean, like we're talking at Blackwell, my favourite Parkland golf course, absolutely stunning. But like it has challenges down there as well, with all that.
And in terms of, let's say, variability across a single site, presumably you've got to deal with certain areas in Hoylake slightly differently to certain other areas.
Yes, greens would be a perfect example of that. We've got 3 different sets of greens in age. We've got the greens that go back to the start of time here, till 1869. We've got greens that were done in the 90s and early noughties, and we've got greens that were done just around COVID. So I treat them all differently, and this is what's so great about this new USGA GS3 equipment, is I can go out and data test them to bring them up to speed with each other. We've got 3 sets of new greens that are built on sand, and they were generally a little bit leaner, so they would run about a foot faster. And a lot of members were kind of just used to it, and they were like, "Oh, but that's, if you're a member here, that these greens are faster, so you'll hit it a bit, you'll not hit it as hard," and that's kind of the nature's way. But working with the R&A, you see that we always try and get everything within a few inches, especially the Open, like the quest for getting everything within the parameters, and quite like that, I play a lot of golf as well, and I like consistency. It's not great to be getting to a green and you find out it's a foot and a half faster and it looks the same. So yeah, you don't want any surprises that way. So we've been treating them differently. I've been getting really into clip vol, thanks to working with Darren at Turnberry. Us greenkeepers all speak to each other. We all help each other out. And when we want to learn a new skill, we approach that greenkeeper and we chat about it. We have Zooms. It's an amazing industry that way. So Darren from Turnberry and I have been working, he's been teaching me about the clip volume, which is basically about measuring in millilitres how much grass you're taking off a square metre. So I can got all my clip vols in front of me from this morning. So like from our kind of most productive green, we're taking 12 millilitres off, and from my least we're taking 6. So to try and, there's going to be a speed difference with that. The one we're taking more grass off is probably more than likely not going to be slower. So it's about like, what do I do? Do I have to suppress that growth a little bit on the one we're taking loads off, or do I need to up the growth in the one that we're not taking enough off? Or how do we match it? And that's what agronomy is all about. How do we match it up? Or is it a case of the one we're taking too much off, do we cut that twice? And it's by having this data on the screen, it's really amazing that you can change this behind me on the board. And because I live on site, I'll go out tonight before bed and have a little roll, take the moisture meter out, and you can really, really tweak it. And I don't know, it's not really a job, is it? It's more like a hobby as well that you kind of get into when you're doing stuff like this to this degree.
Sounds rather obsessive compulsive, just to actually tune it just right.
For a lot of your listenerships, I've maybe gone on too much of it. Yeah, but
not at all.
If you speak to Darren from Turnberry about it, he'd be a great guest on your podcast, and he's really into it. I'm scratching the surface with it. Darren's like right into it, and to the point where I would imagine Turnberry greens are just absolutely bob on.
You built a new hole there for the Open, Little Eye, the par 3, that has Hilbury Island in the distance, looking out over the Irish Sea. Since hosting the Open, I understand you've revised the hole. Just wondering, can you tell us what's been done and what the feedback has been from golfers?
Yeah, so I think the new hole that Martin Ebert designed just before COVID was a par 3. It played towards the clubhouse, and they've turned it around to play out to sea. Beautiful, some of the best views in golf. I mean, I think outside Portrush, in Turnberry, I would probably say that Royal Liverpool's got some of the best views in all the open golf courses. And I'm a big views guy when it comes to my architecture. I love that side of it. And the feedback we had from the Open, that over the back, I mean, it's a 134 yard par 3, but over the back is death. I mean, you were in a sand scrape that was heavily trodden on, so there's a good chance you'd be at the bottom of a footprint. And it was very penal. Fitzpatrick went mental in it during the Open. Tommy had a bit of a torrid time. I think he made 6 as well. I mean, the key is not to go over the back, obviously, but it was quite unfair for a lot of our members. So we actually turfed over the back. So now, if you go long with some nice long fescue at the back that stops your ball, so it's a night and day better golf hole. And we also filled in the bunker on the right-hand side. It was quite a penal bunker as well, for just missing the green. And I really love runoffs. Working from Dale, runoffs for me are more interesting than a bunker. Bunkers are very mostly one-dimensional. You can play a 54 or 58 out of them, whereas with this, the swale we have down deep at the right-hand side now, you can play anything from a rescue club up to a 50, a 60-degree wedge, So, and it's proper skill involved in that. So it's a much better hole. But lastly, we raised the tee as well, so you can see the ball on the green from the members' tee. And that was the biggest bit of feedback. A lot of the members didn't like the fact that the ball just disappeared a bit, so they couldn't really see it. I mean, it could be argued that was quite exciting because maybe you get up there and you see it's closer than it was, or it's not there at all. But they'd quite like to see it. So yeah, we did all that with Martin, and yeah, it's a much better hole now. Everyone enjoys it far more. And it's one of the most famous par 3s in the world, absolutely undoubtedly.
I'm looking forward to seeing the revised iteration. Joe McDonald, who hosted me, was keen to get my view on it. I'd be somewhat biased in that I made a 2 that day, so I thought it was a great hole.
I went down well with them.
Certainly did. Listen, you're renowned for your member communications through Instagram, Twitter, blogs, videos, and drone footage. I understand you honed this approach during your Deal adventure and kept the practice going at Hoylake. I guess it probably proactively brings the members on a journey through the seasons. I'm just wondering how or why you began that particular process for members.
I think I always wanted to answer the members' questions before they were asked to make my life easier. And I wanted someone to, selfishly in my job, to give me an extra dimension and a bit more interest in the job. I don't ever want to go flat and think, well, what could I do to make this so I'm not just a greenkeeper? And that was exactly it. So we started doing the explanational drone videos. So for example, on YouTube, we had a Royal Cinque Ports had a YouTube page, which is obviously still up there. And I wanted to spray off all the fairways with rescue to kill all the ryegrass so we could sow fescue in. So there was going to be a bit of hurt with that, a bit of pain. So instead of just putting a newsletter out, which no one reads newsletters, and I thought, well, what people like watching videos, and anyone from a 14-year-old member to an 84-year-old member can watch a video at any point at home, on the train, at work, whatever. And it explains it better because you've got a visual idea of, this is ryegrass, this is why it's bad, this is what it looks like, this is what we're going to do to it, and this is what it's going to look like after, instead of having it in a newsletter. So it's about being transparent, and we got so much from that, and the members got so much value. Members that with loads of foreign members that still pay a lot of money, still pay full joining fee, that maybe couldn't get across because of COVID, putting videos out there to tell them what was happening. We were still getting value for money, and they still felt a part of it. So we've kept on doing that, and I've taken it to another level here, really, where I've got a WhatsApp group with, I think I've got 300 members on it. It's a one-way communication before you think about anything. You know, I can imagine people listening to this like, oh my, it's a WhatsApp group with 300 members on it, folks sending dog clips and football clips and stuff like that. So it's not like that. I can put a video on there, and God, you're one click away from getting the sack on that, aren't you? When you think about it, you know, you've got to watch what you put on there. And I hope no one ever works out what the PIN code to my phone is, because they could get me the sack. But I do great videos. I edit them really, really well. I put good subtitles on them, because people might watch them on the train, as I say, or in their office when they're not meant to be. And it'll be about things that are happening in the course, like, oh, you might notice the fact that the ferries are quite dry recently. Well, this is why. And it's a private group, so I have to vet everyone that's going in to make sure they're a member. And they're not on YouTube with any of these videos or anything, so strictly members only. It's been well respected, and the amount of people that have come up to us and said, "Oh, Bledge, please keep the videos going. We love them. Oh, we didn't know there were owls in the owl box. What a great thing to see." All that kind of stuff, you know. And like, we'll do that with the drainage, and we're going to do it. And honestly, if there's any greenkeepers listening to this and you want a happier membership, I would 100% guarantee you this is the key. By just open communication, letting people know why you're doing what you're doing, and you won't get any grief, or you'll get very little grief, and guarantee you.
And how regularly would you do it, Bledge?
Not too often, that's the key as well. I think people would get annoyed if you were to be pinging the phone all the time. So I would probably say once every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. There's not been anything exciting happening recently, so I ain't going to do it just for the sake of it. I mean, what I did, and I try and get the team involved as well. So I'll have like my irrigation tech the other day who does my data as well. Pete, we had a pair of us mic'd up, and we were looking through all the GS3 equipment. We actually have. I mean, I'm looking through my videos just now. Things from tee setup as to like what we want, how we want people to rate bunkers, what we expect them to do when they come to the range tee, for example. And yeah, I mean, all the drill and fill work, we did loads of intense drill and fill work on one of the greens, and people just didn't understand why we were doing it. And you put these videos up, and they're all over it, you know, and they're like, oh, we should do more of that kind of thing, you know. And you always get support from them for that reason. So, super thing.
Listen, having followed you on the socials for some time, I know you like your greenkeeping toys. Would it be fair to say that you might be somewhat of an early adopter when it comes to technology?
Yeah, I do like technology. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm strange with technology. I always get into it, but I never like master it. I never like my drone, for example. I could probably do a lot more with it. I'm good at flying the drone, and I can fly it around the course, and I could do all sorts with it. But I mean, there's guys out there that are like setting waypoints everywhere and having it going up and down to heights and round and like automatically, you know. So, but I do get in everything, you know. With that, with the USJ stuff we go on about, the robotics. We have got 3 Husqvarna mowers that me and Pete, the irrigation tech, we do all the tech stuff together. Pete and I, really, he's quite techie as well. It's good to have someone on your team, so you're not always doing it yourself, otherwise your face would explode. But the app, the Husqvarna app's different class, going out at night and setting maps up for it to work away. So you wake up in the morning and the whole range has been cut and stuff, and you don't have to bother picking balls up. And God, what a life changer that's been. And I know there's guys that take it further than me. Chris Ball at Hillside, Sean McLean at Birkdale, Warren Bevan at Carris, Green up in the Lake District. These 3 guys they're the robot kings, not me. You know, I'm just dipping my feet in it. But there's guys out there that are really hitting the highs of that and getting the most out of it. But yeah, I do love technology. But I mean, one thing I feel really on top of, like we talk about planning, you know, using things like Google Drive, Google Sheets, having everything on your phone so the staff can sign all the machines out. I mean, we're really kind of high tech with that, or the holiday rotas. Everything's at a touch of a button for me. I don't want to have paper trails and like any plans written down the back of a cigarette packet. So yeah, everything's quite accessible and easy. And yeah, I like it that way. I do like my tech.
You mentioned your Husqvarna robotic fleet of mowers. Just wondering when you started down that road and how it's going so far.
A bit of luck, actually. Like I was at Harrogate, and I never usually go around the show on the last day. I always get out, I think, usually in the morning, the Thursday morning. But I thought, it was one year, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go into the show. I don't spend enough time, and I want to just be on my own and just go around the show on my own and see people on my own, because if I'm with other boys or lads, and you kind of get carried away and stuff, and you end up in Wetherspoons at lunchtime, and that's it. But it's like, I wanted to actually spend some time, and I just happened upon the Husqvarna stand, and it was quiet. And this is a great thing about the Thursday morning at Harrogate, it was really quiet. So everyone's got time for you. And I just got speaking to this guy called Craig, who's from this neck of the woods, and I told him where he was from. And he's like, I walk my dog on the beach right beside your house. And Jesus. He said, well, I'll drop a machine in if you fancy a shot. And I was looking at him thinking, do you know what? That would be absolutely perfect on my range, in turf nursery or kids course. So he brought it in and they blew me away. The quality of cut, the ease of use for such an early time in the industry. I mean, only a few years in, they've dominated the garden market in Europe and Germany and Scandinavia. Everyone in Germany and Scandinavia has got a Husqvarna robot in their garden. Everyone. But just for them dipping into in golf now, they've done so well, and it's only the start, I believe. And the great thing about them here is I'm on the phone to Craig quite a lot, and we've had the tech team from Husqvarna themselves and the Swedish guys to visit and give them honest feedback, and they take things on board and they want to take it away and improve it. So it's really exciting. I don't believe it's a thing that's going to take over jobs, never in a million years. And we do videos and that, for the members to tell them this is what they're doing, but that doesn't mean we're going to go down from 12 to 10 staff. It just means we can get more done. And you were talking about detail. I really love detail. It means we can spend more time trimming irrigation heads or painting posts or divoting or weed picking, stuff like that you never ever get time to do. But as I say, Sean at Birkdale's, she's cutting fairies with them. I mean, that's a big deal to undertake that, a course like that. So very interesting for anyone that goes up there and sees the as my old captain said, Bledge's orange golf ball guzzling goats. That's what he used to call them.
You trialled recently enough a Baroness electric trim mower, which I think cuts to 8 mil. Did that stay on in the asset register, or did you give it back?
Oh, it was only a demo. It's not come to market yet. So I think it's looking for a patent. That is amazing. That thing is. I've been looking for one for this thing all my life, and actually I've said to them, look, put my name on two. Don't care how much it is. I'll just have two, because one of the things here that it's really important is having a really tight cut on the top of your edge of your revetted bunkers. And I hate seeing these lips around these kind of. If people can't cut round them and they cut them to, I don't know, 15 plus mil, or like it to be the same height as the surround all the way into the top of the revetted bunker. Just now we use an old Atco machine that a lot of people might be using in their back gardens. It's a big heavy thing, it's always breaking down. Or we use a Sidewinder. Our Sidewinder's an old thing, fortunately, so it cuts to like about 12 mil. And it kind of marks up as well at times, so because it's so old. So when this Baroness electric mower come in, it weighs 20 kilograms, so that means it's legally safe to lift on and off a gator. And I'm pretty sure you can Google it. I think it's called an LM61 maybe, or something like that, or an LM32. And it just buzzes, beautiful cylinder mower, and it buzzes around the top of the bunkers, light as a feather. And the Baroness cuts second to none. It's samurai sword metal, so it never goes off, and especially with all the sand splash you've got around the top of bunkers. So yeah, I'm praying that it gets put through this autumn, and they get a patent for it, and then we can buy one for next spring, and I'll have two of them, one for each 9.
You mentioned earlier there your new GS3 system, which was developed by the USGA grain section, I believe. What is it, and what does it do?
So a very funny story. We my wife, kind of stray from the path for a sec. My wife Jen leads up first green. which is letting kids into greenkeeping and letting them know that it's a vacation, so we don't have a employment crisis in greenkeeping, which a lot of folk complain we do have, which is true, but it's been a success for us because of this. And we had 40 odd kids the other day down at our chipping green from West Kirby Primary School, and my part of it was demonstrating the GS3 ball as part of STEM learning, so science, technology, engineering, math. So this would be technology, science, and engineering and maths. So all four, this GS3 ball would tick. And when we got it out of the little box, I don't know if you've seen one, Shane, have you?
Not yet.
No, it looks like a golden snitch from Harry Potter, the Quidditch ball. And when we showed it to the kids, it blew their minds. They were like, "Oh my god, it does!" Because it's exactly what it looks like. And you basically roll it. It's got a gyroscope inside it. You give it a double tap, it wakes up. It Bluetooth links to your phone. You roll it off a stimp meter, and then it calculates speed, smoothness, which is deflection up and down, and trueness, which is deflection left to right, and it gives you a number for that. And we have a parameter that we regard as being the kind of elite standard that we need to keep within. So it's a fantastic system. It's expensive, but I've got a lot from it so far. I've actually got a bit obsessed with it. It's in my pocket all the time. In fact, Ali Beggs and I played golf the other night, and Ali produced one from his ball pocket and just rolled it along the ground in his hand, and then got the result straight away. And so, well done, Bledge. It's good. It's absolutely crazy to think that. But it's I mean, that's technology that we never thought we'd have 15, 20 years ago. I mean, you'd be like it's Back to the Future stuff. But great for any listeners just to Google that USGA GS3 ball, and you'll see what I mean.
I'm assuming your Husqvarna robots are lithium powered. I'm just wondering if you've migrated to any other lithium powered electric mowers yet, or any other fully autonomous kit.
We have got 2 electric greens mowers and 5 electric gators, one of which has got lithium batteries in it. And it's the best one. It's faster. It's charged, keeps it charged longer. So moving across from lithium to all the gators and is something we're looking into. But yeah, we've got a great mix of machinery in the sheds. As I say, we've had Barness, we've Husqvarna, we've got John Deere cutting equipment and Toro cutting equipment and John Deere tractors. So we buy whatever's good for the job, and that was my predecessor's kind of theory as well with it, which is quite right. Instead of kind of getting trapped into a deal, I mean, there's a lot of benefits with getting into a deal. You get better deals on each individual mower, but I kind of think that I want the best machine for the job here, and we're quite lucky that way. So, if there's a good electric machine at a good price, then we'll buy it. But I kind of don't want to get too carried away, because just getting electric just for the sake of it being electric, because you've got to still think about the cash flow, and some of them are getting so expensive as well. If you were to go electric everything, geez, I don't think you'd be able to buy as much.
You've travelled extensively, Bledge. I've heard you mention that there's no such thing as a new approach, just ideas that are repurposed to work elsewhere. Can you think of anything you've seen in your recent travels that you've repurposed for the benefit of the members at Hoylake?
Yes, I pick ideas from every single golf course I'm lucky to play. I mean, John McLaughlin and I was speaking out in Phoenix, Arizona a few years ago, and I saw something really cool where our friend Stephen took us to Troon North Country Club, and it's Troon Country Club, I think it was just called. Yeah, beautiful golf course, and on the range it had a plate that told you all the yardages, and I was looking for something here, and it had the yardages, and you could slide the yardage in and out depending on where you put the ropes for the range to whatever coloured post was out there, and it had partridges as the colours, so like a yellow partridge 100 yards, a blue partridge 150 yards. So I went and got liver birds cut out, and we changed them, had them made at a fabricator down in Birkenhead. And yeah, that was a total rip-off, absolute rip-off. But I let the guy know I asked him, like, I got in touch with the superintendent and says, like, you don't mind me doing this, do you? And he was like, no, fine, go ahead. And he actually visited before they opened, and he came and had a look round. Sadly, I wasn't here. I never got to meet him, but he came and had a look round, and that's been a really cool thing. And I think, like, if someone wants to come here and rip off anything we do, I'd be absolutely delighted. I think that's how we all get better. And I used to write music, and when I was in a band, and all my songs I ever wrote were just rip-offs of other songs. It was just taking riffs and parts from other songs and piecing them together. I'm just, Shane, I'm just a big fraud. If we scratch the surface deep down, it's exactly what it is. And I've made a living out of it for years. But you've got to, you get inspiration. I go next door to Wallasey and get inspiration for John and God, there's so many bloody brilliant greenkeepers out there where we're stealing ideas from all the time, and not just ideas, I guess, but like sometimes it gives you a kick up the backside. If you think you're doing all right on your course, and you'll go play somewhere else, and you'll be like, God, this bit's miles better than ours, and like you need to get a grip, Bledge, and you'll get home that Sunday night, and you'll be writing things down in your journal, in your diary, about what you need to do to make the course better that week. And that's why I used to love Twitter. And sadly, it's kind of died a death, but I used to love scrolling through Twitter and see what other greenkeepers are up to, and stealing ideas or stealing inspiration, or sometimes it even gives you a reminder. Oh God, I've not groomed the greens or verticut for a while. Maybe we should be doing that. It's so amateur, but it's something. You have that much going on in your mind as a course manager. It's frightening, absolutely frightening. So sometimes you need little hints to remind you to do stuff now and then.
Yeah, you mentioned John Mack down the road. Is there a bit of friendly rivalry on the whirl?
Yes, definitely. John's one of my best pals. I love the guy. He's class. He's a constant source of humour for me in our other podcasts where I imitate his Scouse accent. But he's top class. He's a top class friend and great golfer, great guy. And yeah, John's really kind of mastered that, staff management and getting the most out of his team. He's got a brilliant team down there that are super motivated, and they're just really nice to be around. And like John's attention to detail that he's brought from his last clubs at Warrington and Grange Park and St Helens, like another kind of level of that. Like I'm kind of more down the rustic route of kind of presentation here, without like not being untidy. We keep things tidy, but like a bit more rustic. John has a kind of more high end like finish to his golf course with when it comes to furniture. I'm talking about, not turf really. Like some of the beautiful brass plates he makes and sinks into the sleeper work that he does. I mean, he does loads of stuff like that. Every year he makes it better and better, and that's why it climbs the rankings, and he promotes it beautifully as well. And you've got to. It's part of the game as well, is encouraging people to come and play your golf course, and they do that, and then they see how good it is, and they tell their friends. And John's been a revelation at Wallasey, and I hope a lot of the members see that.
And has he recovered from his knee operation?
Yes, he's good now. Yeah. He could still beat me at golf even when he was days after getting that done. So. Yeah, I actually seen John a few hours ago, so he was in good form.
I believe congrats are in order. The RNA recently announced that the 131st Amateur Championship will be held at Hoylake in June 2026. West Lancs will host pre-qualifying with you, while also acting as the other stroke play venue over the first 2 days of competition. As per the usual format, the match play stages will obviously be held at Royal Liverpool. It's hard to imagine, and it's hard to believe, in fact, that it's 25 years since the Amateur was last held at Hoylake. I can still sort of remember Mikko Ilinen of Finland's win there in the year 2000. Jesus, Bledge, we're getting old. That particular PSA brings us nicely on to the RNA Championship and agronomy part of our chat. As you said, Alistair Beggs, the head of agronomy for the RNA, is a member at Hoylake. I'm just wondering how often they visit formally.
We get about 3 visits a year. Looking to my calendar now, yeah, we get 3 visits a year from them. But it's actually Adam Newton now who's taken over from Alistair. Alistair will still come along and still be involved, but Alice has taken a step into sustainable agronomy, so he's going to look at other golf courses, whereas Adam Newton does the championship agronomy with Richard Windows. So Adam's now the guy that I speak to most, but fantastic guy. I really like Adam, and make a lot of kind of nice wee changes together, and he sees great things from different golf courses, and you can apply them at yours. But my experience working with R&A agronomy side, anyway, is nothing but positive. They've always been super. We get a lot out of them.
And what sort of stuff do they measure when they visit?
So we kind of tend to do all the measurements when it comes to data, and then upload it to the cloud, this Deacon cloud it's called, so they get to see that. But the only other kind of measurement there would be organic matter. So we have like test greens that we do. So before they have a visit, all these greens will be tested in time, and then they'll come with the results, and we'll say, well, this green's maybe a little bit high, or we could do some work with this. And it's more or less like we have like a 1 to 18 walk, and we'll show them what we've been doing. And they'll say, any issues you've got, and I'll be like, well, yeah, on some of this fescue turf, I'm getting a wee bit too much Highland bent growing in. And then they'll say, well, at Rosapenna, for example, this is me just giving it. Rosapenna probably doesn't even have this. Probably a bad example. Let's just choose Deal. See any arguments? At Deal, we've seen that Ben did this with it. Maybe we should try that. Or Ben used this fertilizer on one of his new growing teas. It's got a slow release, or it's got higher nitrogen, and there's a different coating on it, and he's had great success. Why don't we try that? And we try stuff out that they've found success at other courses. And yeah, that's the best part about it, is the guys do so much traveling that they can really help you in areas where you might be struggling a little bit, and we all do.
Are you heading over to give Graham Beat a dig out at Portrush in July?
I can't this year, I'm afraid. So I'll be watching from the television. I think, well, it's very difficult to get accommodation over there, over the water. And Graham doesn't need any volunteers because we've got such a big team. We're having 36 holes. So I'm excited to look. I'll probably take an afternoon off and watch it on the telly, maybe on the Thursday, or I might take a full day off, because I do love watching the Open, and that's the great thing about being an Open Links manager. Part of the kind of family. Excuse the cheesy cliche, but you do feel like that. You feel part of it, and I can't wait to see Portrush in the telly. I mean, Graham is an outrageously good greenkeeper. He keeps a great surface. Some of the best greens I've ever putted on. Portrush, one of my favourite golf courses as well, and I know it quite well because I've played it quite a few times. So I'm very lucky to have been taken down there with myself and Liam Brown, who's the Greens chairman at Royal St George's. I've been quite a few times, so it's a fantastic course.
Special place indeed. In fact, I'm hoping to get up there after the Open at some point later on in the year. But you mentioned earlier on that your better half Jenny works for BIGA, the British International Greenkeepers Association, and you also mentioned the First Green programme. Just wondering, you alluded to the difficulties the clubs are having to find and retain staff in the UK. How do you think something like the First Green initiative will hopefully assist in relation to attracting the next generation of Greens team and superintendents?
Well, I think when I grew up, I never knew this was a vocation, and kids generally don't. And also, if you do want an apprentice, I mean, where are you going to apply for it? Where are you going to put in the job centre? And you don't get a great take. And like Indeed, you don't get a great take on that either. I've had a little bit of success in the past putting it on like local Facebook groups, but we just need people to know that it's a vocation. And what better way to do it than having this First Green initiative? I mean, the only reason why I didn't do another secondary school this year, because I've done 3 now. I've done 2 primaries and 1 secondary. I did the secondary school last year, and the reason why I didn't do another one this year is because my inbox has got 6 emails in it that are from kids that want to do apprenticeships. I also have a bunker raking team at the weekend. I have a rota of 6 guys, of which probably I think 4 of them found out through the First Green initiative, and I've got a waiting list of lads from the town that want to come and join through First Green as well. And it's funny though, because the it's all very like the secondary school, it's quite Kevin and Perry, so boring. You kind of got that feeling at times. But then when you were done, they were when they were kind of away from their group of 6 or 7, and maybe they wouldn't get picked on or bullied for kind of speaking up in a group of 6. They would come and speak to you and say, "Oh, I've really enjoyed that. Have you got any jobs going?" And then you take their details and think, "Well, I know that if we keep doing this first green, we'll always have interest." It's a brilliant initiative. I know Jen's had so much success with it at other clubs, and not only that, it's great for the team as well. My team used to have done anything like that, and neither I hadn't done anything like that deal, but I always wanted to tap into the schools at Deal. I always tried and I always wrote to them, but never got any success. But then when you have an initiative like that's all kind of laid out with that, and it's more official, and they have safeguarding procedures in place, they have worksheets. Jen helps. She doesn't run the event for any of the greenkeepers; they do it themselves, but she gives them the tools to do it in the toolbox, and she attends some of them. So any greenkeepers that are listening to this that are struggling to get kids to join their team, whether that be part-time, seasonal, whatever, do a first green event, tap into secondary schools. I mean, we had years 10 and 11 here from Hilbury High School. It was brilliant. My team absolutely loved it. They loved getting involved. We showed them different stations, like from our beehives through to measuring areas out to apply fertiliser, how we calculate that, robots, the drones, the automatic irrigation system. And we got the pro involved, and we had like putting and chipping as well, which a lot of them kind of broke up the monotony. It's like 6 20-minute stations and then some lunch in between. And some of the reps might want to get involved and give them some freebies like flasks or whatever, or maybe ball markers for the pro shop if they want to kind of remember their day. But really, really brilliant thing, and I'm really proud of Jen for the work she's done, and she's absolutely worked her backside off it to make it a success, and it's flying. It really is. I think our kind of goal is to get every region in Britain done, and she was across Ireland and Belfast or Armagh last week doing one up there, so she's got that ticked off there as well. So yeah, I noticed that Southwest Scotland's not done one yet, so it's kind of letting the side down, my neck of the woods.
All in good time. Listen, I have a hypothetical for you, just looking at that issue from a slightly different angle. Let's assume there's a listener out there that's currently dissatisfied with where they've ended up from a career perspective. They're mad about golf, not afraid of early mornings, bad weather and hard work. They may be considering a complete change of scene, and greenkeeping may be on a short consideration list. What advice would you give them?
You need to put yourself forward for these things. I think you've got to kind of be quite bullish. I've always had success with being bullish and getting myself in front of people, emailing people, making sure everything's catchy and really well constructed. If I get an email and it's full of spell mistakes and it's not kind of taking time to research the place, then I just bin it. I would reply respectfully, but I wouldn't be interested. But if you can actually if you pay attention to detail with an effort to put in for to show your interest in a job, then you'll pay the same at work, and that's a kind of a big believer of that. So yeah, just putting yourself out there, getting letters written, and kind of showing people that you'll do stuff. You'd even go as far to say, look, I'll come and work for you for free for a week, just so you can see what I'm like, and I had to do anything to get the job if it's going, and what can I do for you, kind of as opposed to the other way about.
With climate change and evolving golfer expectations, where do you see the future of greenkeeping heading, especially for links courses like Royal Liverpool?
It's definitely changing. There's no doubt about it. We get more extreme weather, we get extremes and highs and extremes and lows. Oh God, I don't know where it's going to go. I can see this kind of trend continuing, and I think we're quite adaptable as greenkeepers, and we all muddle together to find solutions, and I think that'll still be the case. We might have to spend more money in drainage. We might have to spend more money in irrigation. It's just the same again, isn't it? Getting water on, getting water off. But yeah, God, who knows how it's going to go. It's sometimes the world can be a scary place. It's other things that might threaten threaten our golf courses that probably worry me more, to be honest. That like, how is there going to be golf courses there if we're going to be blowing each other up, without getting too deep about it. But, some of the recent news we've had, it kind of sometimes is in the back of your mind how things are going to go, because our golf courses went through it during COVID, and they went through it during wars, and they were no longer golf courses. So as long as everyone can behave themselves, then we'll all have a golf course, and it's probably more a scarier thing than global warming actually just now.
You'd be glad to hear that we're entering the finishing straight. As you may know, all of my guests get asked the same final two questions. The first recurring question relates to circa 5 bucket list courses that you'd either like to visit or perhaps even revisit. You might tell us where they are and why you've chosen them.
Right, good. You've put me right in the spot here. Right, bucket list got to be big Coeur Crenshaw fan, so our Doak, Taraiti in New Zealand. I've got a member friend there, Gabe, who keeps on saying, "Bledge, you got to get you down. Got to get you down." Like, Gabe, there's a substantial airfare standing between me and getting down there, and try to explain to Jen that I need a few weeks away to go to New Zealand. So that's one of them. I have to say Augusta. I'm obsessed with the Masters. I absolutely love watching it every year. I'd probably be too sick nervous to play that golf course, but I'd love to play there. And I think kind of that area, just ticking off Pine Valley, I've got a chance of playing Pine Valley next year, hopefully. So Sean from Birkdale, me and John are really thinking about hopefully planning that trip after his Open at Birkdale as a reward. And Royal Melbourne, something like that. I'd love to play Sandbelt courses. I want to see if this myth's true about bouncing a golf ball on the green and catching it like a power ball. And probably kind of that area, the old national golf links, Shinnecock Merion area. That's it for me, really. I know I've given you more than 5, but
well, look, broadly speaking, I can live with areas also. I know when I'm asked, it's a bit of a chore also. Listen, I know you're not much of a reader, so I'm going to give you a variation of our final question. If you want, you can recommend 2 golf podcasts or indeed 2 golf books to listeners for future enjoyment.
Good, you're right about reading. I have like reading dyslexia. Whenever I'm listening to something, I forget about. I'm sorry, reading something, I forget about the last page I've read, so I don't ever bother reading. But golf podcasts, Cookie Jar Golf, obviously, I'd give that. They've got a great backlog, and besides yours, obviously, I enjoyed Joe Galotti's Talking Greenkeeper. I thought he was fantastic. From a greenkeeping perspective, ICL do the Greencast, the great. What's it called? Glenn Kirby and Henry Bechley. It's called, oh Jesus, cat's got my tongue. It's about looking ahead. There's a pun there somewhere. I'll think of it a second. But anyway, that's a fantastic podcast as well. But to be honest with you, sometimes I'm more of a music man. I like to kind of get away from that, and I prefer to listen to music because I think if I'm just always doing my job in golf and then listening to golf podcasts, my head would explode. So I listen to music podcasts, and Alan Partridge podcasts, number 1. The audiobooks, fantastic.
While we're at it, 2 most recent album recommendations. So you've been a music guy.
God. Right, so I'm really into Ethel Cain just now. So her album, and my kind of favourite Omens by a band called Elder, who are like my favourite progressive rock band. They're from like America and Germany, and it's the most mind-blowing record you've ever heard in your life. And me and my best mate went to see them in Manchester, and my jaw was on the deck for the whole thing. Every song was like 15 minutes long. It was unbelievable. So Elder Omens is the album. Everyone listen to it.
Well, Bledge, I'm out of questions. All that is left is to say it's been my absolute pleasure to host you on the Firm and Fast today. I wish you continued success with the day job at Hoylake, increased listenership to the Golf Badgers podcast, and of course, world domination on the after-dinner speaking circuit. Go easy, mate. And be sure to let me know when you're next in Dublin so we can get you out for a spin around Donegal.
Yeah, so we can go to Gibney's in Malahide for the best pint of Guinness in Ireland.
It's one of them, apparently. I'm not even a Guinness drinker, but I believe it's pretty good.
God, what the stuff. Yeah. Thanks so much. It's really nice to be asked in these things. I really enjoy chatting about our job and what we all do. So thanks for the opportunity.
Well, you're a natural. Thanks for agreeing to do it.
Thank you.
Many thanks for tuning in. If you don't currently follow us on socials, you can do so as follows. On X, you can find us at Firm and Fast Golf. On Instagram, Firm and Fast Golf Podcast. On Blue Sky, if you're that way inclined, the Firm and Fast Golf Podcast. On YouTube at the Firm and Fast Golf Podcast, and indeed finally on Substack at the Firm and Fast Golf Podcast occasional newsletter. We favour to ask, if you're still with us, if you're enjoying the show, you might consider giving us a star rating or a review on your podcast platform of choice. It really would be appreciated. Thanks again for listening.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.